Right, morning everybody. Okay, so rental training, rental stuff. Who's heard that the rental market is in trouble? Nobody. That prices are down, that places standing empty, that their tenants are running away. Okay, so all of these are true to some extent. The newspaper calls it a rental crash. Now, you've got to be very careful when you listen to experts, and especially the media, because they they frame things to sell magazines and to sell newspapers, not necessarily to give proper information. So I think there is a rental crash. I'm not sure what a rental crash means, but there is a correction, I would say. So the growth in Q2 and Q3, which is the second and third quarter of this year, has dropped from about 4%. So the growth in rentals was growing at 4% on average month on month over the last few years, quite a few, maybe even years, but definitely over the last sort of 18, 20 months. Now that's dropped to 1%. So that is a very significant drop in the amount of rentals, in the rental growth. So there is no growth in rentals. It's basically just flattened out. So, but having said that, if you look at our rentals, we did 250,000 Rand, and that's about 21 rentals last month. So on one hand, the experts are saying the rental market is stagnated, it's dead, and it's crashing. On the other hand, we've had a record rental month. So how do we reconcile this? It's not hard. It's actually quite simple. So why is the rental market in trouble? We need to understand a couple of things. There's an effect from lockdown. So what lockdown did is it put financial pressure on people, and it put people back into their homes. So people stayed in their houses, and they understood where they are, and they're under huge financial stress. What happens when people are in financial stress? The affordability goes. So in the past, where you could rent out a 10,000 Rand place, now we don't have people that qualify for 10,000 Rand because their earnings have dropped. Maybe they've become a single income family or something like that. So that's the one thing, affordability. The second thing that's happened is that the market has become flooded with stock. Why? Well, before the lockdown, we had a thing called Airbnb, and everybody I knew had an Airbnb room or an Airbnb. You know, there was in the old days, they used to have guest houses. Everybody I knew had a guest house, and now everybody had to be Airbnb. What happened during lockdown? All of those rooms stood empty. So immediately the Airbnb guys took the rooms from availability on Airbnb, and they put them into the long-term rental market because they didn't want the places to stand empty. So from a daily rate, they've gone to a monthly or yearly rate, and they're prepared to take a crack in income just to keep the places full. Now, obviously, that means that there's a mountain of stock out there. Now you can rent the stock, the amount of available accommodation has gone up significantly because of all these Airbnbs piling in, and not only Airbnbs, of course, the old guest houses as well. So people will rent out their stuff in order to get it filled and not to stand empty. So there's an oversupply of stock. The other problem we got with the rental market, I guess, is the arrears. Now, arrears was a real thing. The arrears in May was 26%. So that means 26, sorry, I'm just letting people in. 26% of properties or tenants were in arrears. So why in May? Well, obviously that was the start of lockdown, and people held on to cash to preserve cash. And in June, when our esteemed leaders said that we can now go back to work, people started paying their rents again. So that changed from a position of 26% down to about 22%. So the current arrears is about 22%. So that's high. I mean, 22% of people are in arrears with their rental. But what's the reality? What they don't tell you is that the rental normal arrears was what? Take a guess. 19%. So the difference between 19 and 22 is not so much. So yes, tenants are in arrears. Yes, they were in much worse arrears during lockdown. They stopped paying, and they have corrected it. And now they're very close to what they usually were in terms of arrears. Okay. So that if the norm is about 19%. The other interesting thing is about 6% of properties were standing empty in 2019. At the moment, that's at about 11 or 12%. So it's double. So double the amount of properties are standing empty because of the effect of lockdown. And remember, it's a bit of a misnomer to say COVID is causing this and lockdown is causing this. It's our response to COVID that's causing the economic damage. We locked the people down. We took children out of schools. It's not COVID that did that. So our response to COVID has been, well, you can say it's right or wrong, it's irrelevant. Our response to COVID is causing the financial damage. So what do we know about standing empty? Well, isn't the important thing that you guys maybe need to understand is because 11% or 12% are standing empty, there are double the amount of empty units. Okay, so this is all ammunition for you to use when we do something else. Price counseling, obviously. In the market above 25,000 Rand a month, the 11% of vacancies goes up to 25%. Now, 25% vacancy is significant. I mean, that is a huge amount. A quarter of all properties in the top bracket are now standing empty. And the likelihood of them being filled is zero, and the prices are going to come down. But the problem is that the people in that neck of the woods, that neck of the property bracket, are obviously quite wealthy because they own properties worth 2.5 million Rand, and they can kind of hang out there and they won't drop it unnecessarily. So my advice to you is if you bet in that market and you like the 25,000 Rand smell and feel and the Gucci suits, perhaps it's time to come down to the oil-soaked laborer market, because that's where the money is. 25,000 Rand ain't going to get you nothing. Okay. So we've spoken about arrears, we've spoken about the financial pressure, the Airbnb flooding the market. The other thing, of course, as we all know, is that interest rates have dropped, and Alan's has sent us a lesson on that. Because interest rates have dropped, people are looking at and saying it's possibly cheaper just to rent and buy. You know, why must I waste my rental? I might as well go overseas with that money and come back and just buy a place. So these are all the factors now that have impacted on the rental market. The fact that Property 24 and the FNB Property Barometer and Trend Risk and PayProp call this a crash in the market. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what that means, because you know, a crash is such emotive language. I wish people okay, let me put it this way: the journalism in South Africa is shit. So I know I said I wouldn't swear, but I can't avoid it. It is so bad that they can't sell newspapers or time without resorting to highly emotive, highly inflammatory stuff to get attention. So and you guys have to be the beacon of the market. So please be aware, you guys are the rental experts, not the newspapers and not some journalist who's decided that in order to get his column on page 1, he's going to call it a market crash. If 19% of people are in arrears now, and it's normally 20%, how's that a crash? That's like a 1% difference. It's actually negligible. Okay, so they've chosen the big figures that do stand out. A quarter of the places are standing empty. Well, that's only true if it's over 25,000 Rand a month, and that's not where we work. Okay, so be careful of the experts, and I want you to understand one thing: you are the expert, and you have to keep asserting your expertise on your market, because if you're relying on the landlords, they are going to mislead you with the same nonsense that the newspapers have got. But their one is going to be the other way around. Now they're going to say, my property is special. My property is one of the ones that is so good that everybody wants it. That because it's furnished and it's got no parking and the security burglar guards are down because it's such a safe area, and the roof leaks to keep it cool in summer, those are all bonuses and it'll be rent out. The fact of the matter is that his property is probably one of 100, and it doesn't matter if it's better or worse. And this is sometimes, I think, where we get a little bit confused. Where owners look at their property as a very personal thing and they compare it to other properties. But I don't know that that's the right course of action, because comparing to other properties, you can't say my kitchen is, and I hear it a lot, my kitchen is better. Look at it, it's beautiful, I'll just revamp it. Well, it's gold and purple. I think it looks horrifying. And I'm never going to live here. But you can't say it out loud. So comparing properties is not the answer. What you have to do is look at it from the person who's got the money. The money is the tenant. And the tenant is the guy that's going to walk in there and say, can I park my car? Is it safe? Can I have my dog? Is it got a swimming pool? Or whatever his requirements are. He actually doesn't care about the landlord and his bullshit. Okay. So now it's my turn to ask you. So we've all got properties. Who's got a property that's not been rented out for a while? I've got one for 3 months now after I told my friend I was an expert and I knew everything. So if somebody's got a tenant for 10 grand in Hyde Park, please help me to help you. Okay, now help me to stop looking like a fool in front of my buddy. Okay, so all of us have got properties that aren't being rented out. Why aren't they being rented out? What's the only reason on the planet? Somebody please say it. Come on. Unmute it. We all have to hear.
It's price.
Thank you. There's a winner. Yes, of course, it's price. There is no other reason that properties don't sell or properties don't rent out. If you had a ghost house with a dead body lying on the floor in Hyde Park and you were selling it for R1, you would sell it. Okay, so it's always about price. Don't believe anything else. Yes, ma'am.
Don't believe it's always about price. I am a shit rental agent. Sorry, use that word. I cannot do rentals. I don't know what it is. I am useless at rentals. That's all I want to say.
You've come to the right place. We're going to teach you. Okay, so the first mistake you've made then is it is always about price, because you will always rent out something if the price is right, and rental agents know this. So what does that lead us to, though? That leads us to that you have to do price counseling. Okay, so how do you price counsel? Has anybody got any idea? When Bob says, I got a flat for 10 grand, I don't want to take less than 10 grand. What do you say to Bob? Has anybody got an idea? Nobody.
Go to Just Property.
No. Anybody? No.
Well, you can always send them that article that was going around how the interest rates have dropped down and across the board how the rentals dropped down by 30%.
Okay. So you can expose into some literature. Yeah, Alan.
Facts.
Just list it and let the market talk to them, and 3 months later you tell them, okay, it's not worth it.
Okay. Well, those are two options. Show them data or show them pain. Fear of God. The fog principle is a very good way of doing it. So what I would suggest to you is never use the words I think, okay? Because now you're putting yourself against the landlord. And landlords aren't owners. Remember, owners typically sell their house once every 7 years or once in a lifetime. So for them, it's quite a novel thing. It's quite new. They don't quite understand the intricacies. And another thing about an owner is they won't risk a 2 million rand sale based on their arrogance in many cases. Obviously, you get the exception. So what they will do is they will defer to what they consider the expert, and that's us. Now, we sold ourselves as this, and they buy into it, and typically they do listen. So 9 times out of 10, a sale is quite responsive to being guided. A rental guy is a different animal. Why? Because a rental guy changes tenants 2-3 times a year. And if he's an investor and he's got 5 properties, he's dealing with 20 rentals a year. He knows the game. He's in it to win it. So when you put yourself against him, you're putting yourself against an expert. Okay, because this guy has been doing rentals for 5 years with 10 properties, that's 50 rentals, and half of them change. He's done 100 leases. In many instances, that landlord has done more rentals than you have, and you purporting to be the expert. Okay, so what I do as a rental agent is I don't tell them I'm an expert. I never tell anybody I'm an expert. Okay. Why? Because I'm not an expert. Okay, so what I say to these guys, and I think it's a better way, is you don't say to the owner, I think that your price is too high. I want to show you some facts. I want to do this. I don't do that. What I say to him is, I see your flats for 10 grand. And do you know that the one next door is on the market for 5 grand? Here's the listing. Can you see it? And you show him the ad. Do you know that the one down the road, which is a 3-bedroom, yours is only a 2-bedroom, 4 grand? Do you know that the one around the corner, the thief's got it, 3 grand? Can you please explain to me why you're going to get 10? Stop talking. And wait for this man to explain to you, with all of his experience, why these 10,000 Rand is going to appear like magic when any tenant that you've got is going to get it for half price somewhere else. It is absolutely futile telling him what you think. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't believe you. He's heard 100 agents. Remember, we don't do sole mandates. He's got 5 rental agents. They're all promising what I promised my friend. I'll rent this place out in a week. Yeah, good luck on that. Okay. I've now subsequently told my friend that I'm not a rental agent, actually I'm a sales agent, which is another strategy to try and do it. So, okay. So all I would suggest to you is that the market isn't doomed. The market is changing. There are a couple of facts as to why, and you can tell the guy these 3 reasons, and you need to tell him this and expose him what Rahul and Eleanor said. You need to expose him to that data to build credibility, but don't get into a discussion with the guy. It's not about what you think. And you say to him, it doesn't matter what you think, and it doesn't matter what I think. My 5 clients were going somewhere else, and we've done 30 rentals this month, and you can tell them that these oaks that you've signed up with have done 30 rentals. And of those 30, the average price was 8 grand, not 10. For a 2-bedroom, you're not getting it. Why? Not because I think so, but because Seif's got one around the corner, because Just Letting's got one around the corner, because there's one in your block. And they're all different prices. Yeah, but I've got such a lovely kitchen. Okay, I understand that. You really think a person under financial stress who's downscaling gives a flying whatever about a kitchen? All they want is a roof over their head for their family, and they can only afford 8 grand. They are not going to pay 2,000 Rand or more because you've got a purple and yellow kitchen. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So rentals is only about price. There is except for the obvious. Don't rent out. You cannot rent a person a 1-bedroom flat if he's a family of 5. That's just a rental. That's not even a rental area. That's just like thick. You can't do it. So what you've got to do is once you've matched the person to the property, it becomes a price war. Okay. If the security, the position is the same, and if you just reduce your universe down to the 1 block. So if you look at, if a guy's looking for a 3-bedroom block in Hyde Park and you've got one in a block in Hyde Park, then you say to him, okay, that one's for 10 grand. Will you take it? He says, no, I don't want it. It doesn't mean that Hyde Park's wrong. It means that the price is wrong. Because if you could find one in that block for 8 grand, he would take it. Because why? He's already identified the area. He knows how many bedrooms he wants. He knows the configuration. He knows everything. Okay. So don't stress about this. It's not, the rental market hasn't collapsed. In fact, I think it's going to get more buoyant. And the reason I think that, I think it's the bounce of the dead cat. So as this market tanks, according to the experts, what it does is it sensitizes all of your landlords who are now experts. Remember, they know more than you. And they also read the newspaper. And they're sitting there going, oh my God, the rental market's tanking. There's 47% and 13% and Q1 saying this and prices this and everything's collapsed. Now, unless they've got a sensible person like me telling them it's all nonsense and it's written for the benefit of selling newspapers, they may be tempted to drop their price. And that's what you have to do. So anybody who's in the 20, I would say not 25,000, I would say over 15,000 Rand market, you should go back to those people immediately and just say to them 1 sentence. Hi, Wade, I see your property hasn't rented yet. By all estimations, it's a price problem. Do you want to drop it by 25%? Because that's what you're going to get. No, how dare you darken my doorway? I know what's going on. I've got 5 properties. Oh, no problem. I'll phone you next month. And next month you'll still be there. Then you can say 35%. And if he carries on, it'll be 45%. And every month, and the other pearl of wisdom you can drop on him is that if you miss 1 month's rental, any increases, that 25% is gone. So if you're waiting, hanging out for 10 grand, and you miss 1 month, you're only getting 8 grand the next month, even if you get 10, because you've missed 1 month of the cycle. And you never get it back. You can't say, well, I'll put the price up and I'll be back at 12 grand. It doesn't work like that. Once the money's gone, it's gone. Okay. Okay, does that make sense? So rental guys, steel your loins, gird them, be brave, And don't take nonsense from the landlords who are experts. You cannot have an argument with a person who's an expert. You can only reveal to them in a very subtle way the truth. And a good way to reveal to them the truth is to WhatsApp them or email them a couple of links to properties in the same block as theirs, just the same value, just the same size for a factor less. And once you send them 3 or 4 of those, you can say to them, sorry, I couldn't fill your place this month, but I filled all the other ones with the tenants that I had. And I don't have any tenants at 10 grand. I've only got tenants at 8 grand because that's all people are prepared to pay. Well, you know, what kind of agent are you? Well, I'm the kind of agent that did 30 rentals this month. Have a nice day. Okay. So rental agents are harakat. We move very fast. And why? Because the market tells us instantly what's going on. The sales guys are slow. They're like dinosaurs in treacle. They think they're so smart. They think they're so organized. They sell 1 house a month if they're lucky, and they think they're professionals and experts at their job. Well, we deal in 5 or 10 properties a month, and we rent out 2, 3, 4, some of them 5 a month. We are on top of exactly what's going on in our sector. We know exactly what's happening to price. Rental guys don't know what's happening to price until 5 or 6 months into the year when they start realizing, shit, you know what? I've got 5 listings that haven't sold. I wonder what's going on. I wonder if I should do price counseling. We work that in 1 week. I've got 5 rentals that haven't gone in 5 days. I know there's a problem with price. It's worked out. It's instantaneous. So the reason I'm bringing this up is you guys have got to get your minds right about rentals. If you get a rental call from a landlord or from a tenant and you don't respond within a minute, he's going to give it to somebody else. And remember, once the other agent has loaded it on Property 24, every single tenant with a alert on Property 24 private property gets the message. 3-bedroom flat available, 12 grand, Hyde Park. Ping, 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 they all got it. Then you load yours the next day because you've taken some time because you got to, you had to go and lie down. Maybe you banged your head at a party or something like that and you're a bit slow. And you type this thing in. Those people don't get the pings anymore. Why? Because it's the same property. And Property 24 knows it's the same property. And private property knows it's the same property. And they don't send it out twice. So you've lost. So you have to wait for a new guy, one guy, to log on and say, okay, I've decided I want to rent, and to go and look through these myriad of properties. So you've got to be fast in rentals. It's much quicker, much faster game than sales. And because we don't have sole mandates, and you're fighting against the landlord who knows everything. He's like we're working for the combination of Pam Golding and Lady Lou Griffith. This is the oak that knows everything about everything, except for one thing. You've got the tenants, and he doesn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't need you, but he does need you. And the reason we know he needs you is because we did 30 of them last month. And people make a good living out of it. And that's all I've got to say. Any questions? Okay. You got to love rentals. Rentals are brilliant for cash flow, and any sales agent that doesn't do rentals is going to find a problem unless they're very, very good at their job. So unless you're in a groove and you're doing 2 properties a month, you are at some point going to miss out on a sale. And 3 months later, you're going to turn to your checkbook to buy a bottle of fruit juice, and you're going to find out, oh, I haven't got money this month. I wonder what happened. But you won't remember that it was 3 months ago. Rental agents are different. Our money comes in weekly. Weekly. I mean, what a wonderful way to work. You get paid on the day. I pay you the day I get the money. Okay. So it's fantastic. It's good for cash flow.
Anton, I think I might need some training on rentals because I'm getting a lot of rentals, but I think my confidence on rentals is, I just think I'm useless on rentals. Sales is a different story.
Okay, I'm going to hook you up with, I suggest that you phone Rech and ask him to take you under his wing. He'll put you on a 7-day course. He'll phone you every morning and just tell you what to do. It's so easy. Wade went on it. Wade, was your life better after Rech's inquisition? Just give us a...
More like 7 weeks.
Okay. I'm hoping Julie's a quicker learner because she's been in the business for 20 years. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So rentals,
Anton, I did one. Yeah. Sorry, I did one rental that was a referral from one of my sellers. And eventually, after I think it was 3 weeks, I said to him, really, I'm not doing you any good. Just please go to one of my other agents and just do the deal yourself, because seriously, I took out 8 people and not one of them was credible.
Yeah.
So that's my frustration. When I do sales, I've pre-approved them, I've done the deal, and I move on. So that's very quick.
Yeah. Now, rentals is different, and the better way to handle, especially in the lower end of the market where you get a lot, remember, taking 20 people to a property is not uncommon. But the way that the rental guys do it is that they don't take 20 people out. They take one person out and 20 people arrive. So they make an appointment like a show day. They say, I'm going to be here for half an hour. If you want to rent it, pull in. And people come there. And then somebody phones you, oh, sorry, it's Cully. I missed the appointment. Can I come and see it? You say, no, Cully, you can't. Sorry, next Wednesday. Because otherwise you're going to go crazy. You cannot run a rental, because if you've got 10 properties to rent and each one's attracting 20 people, you cannot make 200 appointments in a week because it'll be weekly. So that is a massive mistake. Rentals, or the pressure's high, and the temptation to take people out is high because you want the money, but it's not the right. So if one person phones, make a call. But on a good property at the right price, I mean, who's got 20 people before to show? Have you shown them? I know Sandy has. Michelle's waving. I mean, Ellen. Yeah. So you get it. I mean, I've done that. Where you get there at get there with a pile of lease applications. You get there at 5 o'clock. From 5 to 5:30, the people pour in, and as you're leaving at 5:45, the rest of the people start coming. And at 6:45, you finally leave, having showed 40 people it. At least 30 of them don't even deserve to darken your doorway, but you've handed out 5 applications. The next day you get 1. That you certainly cannot do like you do as a sales agent, one after the other, and proper set up a meeting and vet them. I don't vet anybody. Just pull in, look at it. If you want it, here's the application. It's pointless vetting somebody unless you're doing one-on-ones. But don't do that. Like, don't. No, Julie, don't. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Yeah, Antin. Morning, guys.
Malcolm.
Yes, I just wanted to check with you, Antin. Do we have some documents, maybe in one of the folders or some on our websites, authority to rent and all those stuffs, for us to download from?
Sure. Just send a message to Angela. Ask her for the rental pack, and she'll send you all the documents.
Fantastic.
No,
thank you, Antin.
Okay. Right. Any queries? Any questions? Have a nice day. Go and rent some properties. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Bye-bye now.